Let's take you straight to KwaZulu-Natal, where the police commissioner in that province, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, has described cash-in-transit heists as the devil that is troubling us, and says that they'll be meeting an association that deals with this tomorrow. The commissioner, of course, giving that update on crime in the province. Silethiwe Ndlovu joins us live now for perhaps a conversation as well with the KZN police commissioner. Silethiwe, I'll cross on over to you.
Certainly, Arabile. So that press briefing has now been concluded. And we know that the provincial police commissioner did highlight a few crime trends, particularly when you're looking at the past 9 months. He also spoke about some of the successes that we've had in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, but also a few challenges where we know that, as you have already mentioned, cash in transit heists are still a major issue. But also he did mention that the police in the province are trying to mitigate the murders that we have been seeing. And I'm just going to bring him into the conversation now to speak to us more. Provincial Police Commissioner, rather. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Firstly, just to talk about some of the crime trends that you have identified in the past 9 months, and if any of them are quite concerning.
Yeah, well, no, thanks, and good afternoon to you and the viewers at home. We are seeing a decrease in terms of the crime as we've been monitoring the first 9 months of the financial year. We have not spoken about the last quarter because the crime stats of the last quarter has not been made public official by the minister. So therefore, our discussion was centered around what happened between April last year and December last year. So as we're looking at overall crime, we're seeing a decrease in overall on all the 17 community-reported crimes. However, as much as the decrease is there, especially on murders, as much as there's a over 500 cases decrease, we're still worried with regard to the number of cases that we have registered, which are over 4,000 cases. Over 4,000 cases of murder is just too many. Because we look at it and try and see how best can we move towards the figures that we last saw in 2020. Where we had cases that are just about 3,000 or less. So we are driving towards that as a South African Police Service in KwaZulu-Natal. So that is the main. Yes, we are seeing a decrease on cases of rape as well in the province, but again, we still account for a lot of people that have been raped, over 5,000 of them. That is not acceptable. So we still will like to see a bigger reduction in as far that crime is concerned. We are quite happy when you look at property crime in general, the theft and burglaries and the likes, it seems to be going down, and we're quite pleased with that. Although we don't want people to be losing their properties, but the numbers are quite encouraging as we look at them in terms of crime. But we know that it's not only crime that you're looking at. We are looking at the feeling of safety from the citizens. As we go around station areas, policing areas, and also being assisted by Statistics South Africa in order to measure the feeling of safety by the citizens out there, we're still not happy as South African Police Service in KZN because there's still a lot of victims of crime out there. There are people who are not getting the service that they need from the police. Our response time to their complaints, and our professional conduct as we interact with our clients out there is still not satisfactory. So until such time that we reach the stage where the community in general are quite pleased with the work we do, not to say that we can prevent all the crime from happening, but our response, our attitude as we engage with them, that as soon as we change that, and then the community start realizing that we are doing everything we can to service them, that is going to give us comfort when we're seeing the positive response. I must say, thus far, the community of KwaZulu-Natal is responding quite positive towards the work done by the men and women in blue. The business sector is quite encouraging us to do more, and they are supporting us with different resources that they are putting to our disposal, from security companies to many other business like towing companies and the likes that help us without asking us a cent. That's encouraging. And when we see a number of citizens that volunteer their time by patrolling the streets and sharing information, critical information with the police in order for us to be able to arrest those perpetrators, is quite encouraging. So that shows us that we're in the right path. So if we can all work together and our colleagues, especially within the law enforcement, not the South African Police Service alone, the SAPS, the Metro Police, law enforcement, and Road Traffic Inspectorate, everyone that is within the law enforcement fraternity, if they treat the clients, which is our communities out there, with respect and dignity, if they respond to their calls when they make calls, if they treat their complaints seriously, and they do everything to service them, we're going to see a positive change in terms of our crime picture. Yes, once we have that relationship with the community, there's going to be more crimes reported. And that's what we want to see. We want to see people speaking out and not to die in silence. We might be reporting a number of reduction in terms of rape cases. Perhaps maybe there's still a lot of people that have not reported those rapes. And we want to encourage them to report more. It's not about the pride of reduction, but it's a pride of not having crime at all. That's what we want to see as a province in KwaZulu-Natal.
Talking about something that you want to see in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, you did mention that there are plans to mitigate the number of cash in transit heists that we've been seeing. I know you spoke about a meeting that is set to take place tomorrow. Talk to us about the plan there.
Yeah, well, we might not emphasize more on what the plan is about in the public space, but we've been engaging with our colleagues from Crime Intelligence at the head office and devising other interventions that we're going to have. We are having a meeting with the private sector, the companies, the body that is responsible for the transporting of money in South Africa. They're going to be here tomorrow. We're going to have a meeting with them to try and put our heads together in order to come with mitigating measures in dealing with this type of crime.
I know that, Commissioner, you mentioned during the briefing that murder remains one of your biggest concerns, and going forward, that is something that, once again, you are trying to mitigate. Speak to us more about that.
Yeah, well, we as we're presenting and we're monitoring that over 4,000 cases, as I said, of murder has been reported in the province in the first 3 months of the financial year. We've seen about just over 105 criminals that died during the police operations. We've seen 4 police officers that died also during the operations, engagement with criminals. When we look at those numbers, they are a worry. As I said, what we've registered in 2020 in terms of citizens that died at the hands of criminals were way below the numbers that we are seeing now, which then shows that a criminal of KwaZulu-Natal, it's a person who doesn't want to forgive. A criminal in this province attacks a person who's unarmed. If they come to you and they want something and you show some kind of resistance, the only thing they know is to kill you. So as the police also trying to apprehend them, they respond in a similar way. That's why we end up having these shooting incidents where at times police officers get injured and they also lose their lives. It just shows the type of criminal that we have in our province of KwaZulu-Natal. So we are employing different strategies to try and identify who are the biggest problem makers for us. We don't believe that 12 million people in this province are the problem makers. There's a certain percentage of the 12 million that is troublesome. So it is that percentage that we are tracking and we are tracing. And it is that percentage that we are confronting out there. So the moment we deal with them decisively and move them away from the street and send them to court and to correctional services eventually, and if they put up the fight, of course, it cannot be a police officer or law enforcement that must die in the hands of the criminal. And also, we don't want a member of the public to die in the hands of the criminal. And if that member of the public ought to protect himself or herself, they should do so as well. But of course, they need to identify the danger first before they act so that they don't make a situation worse for themselves. But if opportunity exists, they need to protect themselves as well, because as a collective, we, law enforcement, and the public in general, come together and we stand together and we put out the fight against criminals. It's only then we're going to defeat this. There's 12 million people here, the size of 94,000 kilometers of size of the province, with 20,000 police officers who themselves work on shifts. At any given time, we have an average of about 5,000 police officers on duty. That just shows you the extent of the problem. Therefore, we need the entire 12 million people to come on board and help us to win this war.
And lastly, Commissioner, before I let you go, I know that you mentioned that you're not entirely happy. Yes, the KZN police have done quite commendable work, but you're not entirely happy. Perhaps maybe just to highlight some of the challenges that you've picked up on and how you plan on working on those challenges going forward.
Yeah, we've been focusing ourselves on 3 areas as the SAPS KZN. One is to reduce crime. And 2 is to make sure that you have a clean audit and so that the citizens who are giving us their money through tax can be proud of how we use their resources. And lastly is the feeling of safety from the public out there. It does not help that the crime is reduced, but public in general are not happy with the police conduct. We have to behave in a certain manner that is going to please the community, and we have to respond in a manner that is going to make the community happy. So as we focus on those 3 areas and in our strategies amongst them, is to make sure that at least we win the trust from the community. Therefore, it is a responsibility of the community to know the station commander, and they must know the station management in the area. It can't be that you're only going to engage with a junior member in opening up your case. It cannot be that an incident is going to happen in your area, but you don't get to be briefed about what is the police doing about it. You only get to hear on the news about what has happened. So if an incident happens in the area, it's a responsibility of the station command and station management to engage with the local community, even the people who are not part of that crime, but to brief them and say there was a shooting that took place in this area. This is what we have done as a police to prevent further incidents of occurring like that. And this is what we are busy doing in terms of investigation. If we've effected an arrest, I must say so, that we've arrested the perpetrator in this case. He's going to be appearing in court on such and such a day. And if he's released on bail, police must come back to community and tell them that that person that we arrested that was involved in this type of crime has been released on bail, and these are the bail conditions, so that people are informed. The more they are informed, the better. So that is one approach we have. And also to get them to be part of community structures that works with us in an organized fashion, so that you can prevent criminality from infiltrating these community structures. And if we do that, then at least they will understand what is permitted by the law, which is not, so that they can work within those perimeters, not to see vigilantism and the likes that are happening out there. So we want to prevent that. We engage with business a lot, and to try and understand what are the needs of the business and how can we assist. So in those engagements that we're having with them, they outline their needs and expectations from us, and we do everything to meet them halfway, and also to request from business for assistance, because they do have a checkbook that can assist us in dealing with crime in many other areas. And I must say, business in KZN has been contributing a lot in helping us to fight crime. For instance, all these camera networks that we have in the province, we have a free access into those camera networks. They don't charge us anything, and that helps us to prevent crime. It helps us to respond quickly to crime. And without those assistance, we're not going to win. And so what we see as a result is not what comes from the South African Police Service alone. We're in a province that is affected by disasters a lot. And I'm sure you've seen many times when a disaster strikes, it's not only the South African Police Service or law enforcement that you see there. Government has got limitation in many areas. So you see different companies, private companies that go all out there to go and rescue our citizens without charging them a cent. And that is all efforts that we are all pulling together to have a safer and KZN, and hopefully we're going to achieve that which we wish to achieve in future.
Provincial Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, thank you so much for your time. As you heard, Arabile, from that conversation, there's quite a bit of work that has been done by the KZN police, quite a bit of work that is going to be continue being done by the police that we see here in the province. And as you heard from that conversation, that was stated by the Provincial Police Commissioner, the police that we have here in the province are going to continue to clean the streets.
Thank you so much for that interview then, Silethiwe and Ndlovu then as well. Very interesting one indeed, following on from the numbers that he, of course, had put forward with regards to the criminal activity happening in KwaZulu-Natal then over the last 4 years as well. KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi.